Are you guys there? There's a smudge on my camera. And I pushed the button on the side. Anyways, what's up, YouTube? Just wanted to give you guys an update on my week. And how's it going? How are you guys doing? If you have any goals for the future, put it in the comments if you want. Please do that. You may be thinking, oh, but no one follows this page. No one knows his guy's nobody on YouTube. Okay, if that's stopping you, if you're gonna let that stop you, then I guess you have your own life to live. It also could be cool to be one of the first people to comment on a page which is virtually non-existent, an account which is virtually non-existent. One day, knowing it could be big. You guys know Graham Stephan? I used to follow him before he had 10,000 followers. You don't have to believe me if you don't want to. This is going back, I think, to 2017 or so. He would put stuff about cars, and he'd put stuff about him selling. He was an actual real estate agent selling houses at the time, and also a lot of leases. He sold a lot of leases. From what I remember, he would put the lease, he'd advertise the leases on Craigslist and tracked people interested through that means. This update is going to go back a couple years. When I say couple, I mean 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 years. This is a little bit more of a deep, kind of a super duper flashback update. It's not exactly within what happened this week. This is the end of 2024. 2024 is over. Not actually. We still have a week left, but it's over. And I want to let you guys know a little bit about me and my life and where I want to go, but also where I've come from. This is not like, all these horrible things have happened to me and feel sorry for me. No. It's not necessarily that anything bad has happened to me. It's neither necessarily good nor bad. This is just, if you want to know about me and my life and where I've come from, well, here it goes. If you're interested, keep watching. So I'm 29 at the moment, and when I was in high school, there was this chart on the wall of my honors bio class. Honors bio prepped you to go into AP bio, and I did do AP bio. And I sat across from this guy named Josh Jason. Shout out to Josh. You were the coolest. And I was a jerk because I was not a good friend. And I will forever feel bad about that. He'll probably never see this video, but if he does, Josh, you're the coolest. And I really wish I had been a better friend. Anyways, that's a story for another day. This guy was cool. He happened to be a gay guy. Or I don't know if he still is or whatever. And that doesn't necessarily matter. But it's the same as if someone was like a black person. I would say she was a black girl. Or what? I don't have to mention it, but you have a picture in your mind of who we're talking about. So this guy, Josh, I sat across from him in bio, and he was also my friend. He really was my friend, and I used to interrupt him a couple of times to ask him questions or just to make comments and chat and talk to him, and he was always so cool. I don't really ever remember him telling me, hey, I gotta focus. Maybe one time he said hey, I gotta focus, or he would pretend like he couldn't hear me, but 8 or 9 out of 10 times he would just he would chat with me. And I wasn't supposed to be, I was basically being a distraction. People that know me in high school, probably a couple people probably remember that I was that guy that distracted you if you sat next to me, which I'm not saying that was good, but that's the truth. I'm just recounting history accurately and truth. By the way, he went to Stanford. That guy, no kidding, became the valedictorian. We shared valedictorian my year with 3 people. Daniel, I think his name was Daniel Cervantes, but I don't remember his last name, but for sure the guy's name was Daniel. By the way, another gay guy, although I'm not sure. It's really no one's business who anyone likes, but from what I remember, he seemed like he was, people thought I was gay in high school. It's not something I'm happy about, but I'm just I'm going back to the past, and I'm being honest with you guys. Anyway, so Daniel, Josh Jason, and I think this girl named Ashley Liu or Ashley Chu or Ashley Liu, I don't know, some Asian girl. Those 3 shared the valedictorian title. But really, I don't agree that it should have been 3 people. If I could have picked one, it would have been my buddy Josh. He was the coolest. Why am I mentioning all this? Because Josh is sitting right in front of me, right? And behind him to the right, we had these black, like synthetic marble, like what's that material called when it's not real marble? Like DuPont makes it. Anyways, we had like this black marbly type of synthetic type of plastic cupboards all around the honors bio room, and taped on one of those black. It was either the black cabinets or it might have been the wall. The point is, it was like, let's say it was the wall, but there was a poster of how much you earn if you go to college versus if you don't, and there was tiers, like graduating high school, it showed you made this much. Graduating with an associate's, you made that much. I think it went like no high school diploma, you make like 18 a year, 1,000. To be honest with you, I think this is what I remember back in the day. This is what the chart said. You make like 8,000 something with no high school. Graduate from high school, you'll make like 10,600 something a year. And then it went up from there. And I think if you have a bachelor's, you made 24. And if you had like a master's, it said you made 36 or 42. This is obviously outdated numbers. Maybe even from when I was in school, it might have been outdated. I think pretty sure it was. But it's all relative. So I knew that poster was a little old. But I thought, even if, I know that poster's old, so I'm bound to make more than this. But even if I just make, I thought to myself, say I don't go to college, if I just make 10 grand, I could start a business. I didn't know what the real world was because I was a freshman in high school. But I'll tell you this much. I really believed that. And that was when I was, this was 20, what would it have been? 2000, you don't have to believe me, but this was 2010. No, this was like 2009. This is 2009. So we're in 2024. How long ago was that? That's 15 years ago. So fast forward 15 years to today. Now I'm 29. Back then I was like 14. And I haven't got a business going yet. And I haven't really tried. There was one time when I was driving for Lyft making between $800 to $1,100 a week. And I bought a program for $3,000. You don't have to believe me, but the program cost $3,000. Or was it $1,500? I think it was $3,000. Because I remember I had $5,000 in my bank and I blew my mind. I spent so much with my girlfriend. I literally threw dollar bills up in the air over her. And at the time, I'd never been to a strip club. So I think I kind of knew what that was, but I didn't really know what that was. But maybe she did, maybe she didn't. But it was fun. And I don't know. And it's embarrassing. It wasn't that many. The point is, but I just had fun with the money, and I don't even know where the other $2,000 went. But it probably was a $3,000 program because I don't know how else I would have gone from $5,000 to zero. I remember I was in trouble with my money at that point, and I was trying to do this. What I did is I bought this program for how to drop ship, and it kind of tried to teach you how to do Facebook marketing at the time, which, by the way, here's the thing. If you put a great tool in the hands of someone who's either lazy or unmotivated to work / doesn't work good, it's not going to be as effective as putting a good tool in the hands of someone who is not lazy, who gets after it, works, is motivated, gets stuff done. There was a great tool, probably in the wrong hands. I got really caught up, hung up about. By the way, I think what most dropshippers did at the time, back when dropshipping was kind of new, or actually it was new at the time, a very small amount of people probably did it before I learned about it, but when I learned about it, not many people had done it at that moment. Now today, you could still get into dropshipping if you really wanted to, but I was getting into this like 6 years ago. There probably would have been a better time back then, give or take, depending on how you want to look at things. Because then later on, COVID came, nothing got shipped from China. That would have been a tricky one. But not to say there wasn't money to be made before and after COVID. So anyways, I got hung up on having an LLC and blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure most of the dropshippers that were successful just went for it. Didn't really have an LLC, to start, and got that stuff later on. And me as an older person being 29, if I was going into dropshipping now, first of all, I don't think I would do it because I don't like the concept that I'm not in total control over shipping times or stuff like that. That being said, I could do it. Something that somebody could do, I could do it. and I'd want to make it as good as possible. But yeah, doesn't matter if it's drop shipping or digital marketing or selling stuff through social media, affiliate marketing, writing blogs. Oh, top 10, cans of chili to buy. And then you have affiliate links. And if someone buys the chili off of your website, off of your blog page, your blog article, then you get like 25 cents per can bought. Or, you guys know what affiliate marketing is. Whatever business you're going to go into, you have to go all in. You have to go all in. You have to, think about this. Think about how tired you get working at your 8 to 5. Like, I've worked a lot of warehouse. Think about how tired you get working a warehouse shift and how you didn't make any of the actual profit. You just got a rock bottom, what do you call it? But it's just a token of, so it's just enough to feed yourself, wipe your butt with toilet paper, clothe yourself, sleep somewhere, and come back to work the next morning to work the warehouse. You're not getting anywhere. So imagine if you're working so hard and getting nowhere, imagine how much work it requires to actually get somewhere. By inductive reasoning, let's say, you have to work harder to get somewhere. If you work hard and get nowhere, don't you think it's going to take more work to get somewhere? And yes and no, there's a million different angles to look at it. And I'm with you guys, those of you that understand that a lot of the people who have the most wealth, they don't really work that hard per se. They don't sweat that much per se. They don't work long hours necessarily all the time. True, but that's when they've already arrived. If you're here and you want to get here, just because the people up here don't work all that many hours, are not quote unquote busting their ass, doesn't mean that to get from here to there, you're not going to have to bust your ass. I don't have all the answers in the universe. I've thought about this a lot. I've tried to tackle this subject in my mind a lot. I try to tackle this subject in real life a lot. At this moment, what I'm saying is, and who am I? You don't have to believe anything I say, but if you're interested in what I have to say, I'm going to say it. To get from here to here, you got to bust your ass. Reference Gary Vee. Enough said. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately because I've really been thinking about how anytime I want to do something in the past, it's never worked. But I've also never really busted my ass in the past. The last time I could remember really busting my ass was, and I don't call this busting my ass, but when I was on the JV tennis team, and although it may seem odd to think about, I never give myself credit for this, and I don't pat myself on the back because JV is nothing, but I don't like to think of, if we're going for the gold, I don't like to even mentalize silver. But for this example, I'm going to, conceptualize, put it in my mind, silver. To me, silver's JV. No one cares about JV, but hear me out. There were people who did make the JV team. Now, I loved tennis, but I never played tennis. When I got to high school, I wanted to be on the tennis team, and I would go all summer, at least 3 times a week, to my high school where they had a handball court. I rode my bike from uptown, I don't want to say what city, but basically I rode my bike 10 miles to go practice tennis. And I'd also practice my serves, and I just practiced all summer. When the time came, I actually made the JV team. And again, no one cares about JV. But to think about it, and I wouldn't call it busting my ass, but here's where I will say that I did bust my ass. When I was young, I used to play violin. I practiced 30 minutes a day, sometimes an hour a day, sometimes 90 minutes a day. When I was sloppy, I only practiced 1 to 2 days a week. When I was on top of things, I practiced probably 4 days a week. I don't think I ever really practiced 5-6 days a week. Maybe there was like 1 or 2, maybe 5 or 6 weeks of I don't even think that. I don't really ever think I was always on top of it as a kid. I think I had these mental blocks mentality blocks where I just think I had a lot of shit in my head when I was a kid. And I've been working so hard to get rid of all that. But despite me having those lazy weeks where I only practiced, 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 days in the week, I would always practice probably 40 minutes a day at that point. Sometimes for an hour and a half, sometimes for 2 hours. Sometimes I'd practice for 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday. Now you see why I had no friends. Because when most people are developing their brain around sociality and what to say, what not to say, how to act, how not to act, what's cool, what's not cool, I was just literally becoming a a more advanced violinist, and I wasn't bad at my peak. Although I wasn't ever in the advanced category, because for those of you that know violin, I never got into the third position. My teacher tried to help me get in the third position, and I never got into the third position. I was frightened. I wish they had introduced the third position sooner, but I stuck with the fundamentals for a long time. And again, I think I probably should have advanced from the first position to the third position sooner, but I didn't. And even though I did transition when I transitioned to the third position, I still could have kept going and been a great violinist. I just stopped playing upon entering ninth grade. At the end of eighth grade, I stopped playing. But the whole point is, I was a good violinist. I was actually really good. And compared to other people, I didn't work hardly at all compared to a lot of Asian kids, or mostly Asian, but there's also other races who practiced hours and hours each and every day. And I only practiced a couple hours added up in the week. They would practice probably an hour every day, even sometimes a couple hours every day, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know, but I know there's kids way better than me in violin. And those guys practice probably 5 times as much as me. It would have been cool to go back in time and have done gymnastics, have done swimming, cool stuff like that. And I did do swimming, but not competitively. But what I did do, and basically competitively, was violin. And I remember again, there's people that worked 5 times more than me, but I did meet, there's a minimum threshold where you could say you busted your ass, and it goes up from there. Even if I barely met the minimum requirement, I did qualify to be able to say that I did bust my ass. So what I'm saying is, looking back, nothing happens without busting your ass. So I'm thinking now, this year, now we're going into the future. There's stuff I want to do. Actually, this video is too long as it is. Maybe I'll get into it. I'm going to get into it right now. If you're bored of the video, okay, you don't have to watch. I'm going to get into it right now. In the future, this year, for example, Bill Gates said something that's very... I don't like Bill Gates because I think he's a nefarious person. But I don't think that everything he has ever done is bad. Building Microsoft was great, and this advice he gave is really great. He said, a lot of people overestimate what they could get done in a year, or what they could accomplish in a year, or what they can do. I don't remember if he said get done, accomplish, or do. All 3 of those phrases are essentially interchangeable. Let's pick one and go with it. He said, people often overestimate what they can get done in a year, but they almost always fail. They almost always people almost always overestimate. People often overestimate what they can get done in a year, but they almost always underestimate what they could get done in 10 years. What they could get done in 10 years. If you understood that, you're a smart one. You deserve to understand it. If you didn't get that, you don't deserve to understand it. You have to decipher through whatever that was, me speaking that way. So same thing that I'm saying. Like, this year's 2025, it's a one single year. Remembering Bill Gates, who accomplished probably some of the most of anything anyone's ever accomplished in the world, I might not get done exactly what I want to get done this year, but if I stay on it for 10 years, I'll get somewhere. And there are people that do get a lot of stuff done in 1 year. Bill Gates, regardless of what Bill Gates says, he's not the ultimate authority on the universe, right? Despite what he said, you could get a lot of stuff done in a year. You could get exactly what you wanted to get done in a year. But I do agree that in a lot of cases, people overestimate what they could do. Not to say don't try. The way I take the phrase is, try as if you only had 1 year, but keep going for 10 years. And if it helps you approach things from a more effective angle, keep in mind the 10-year timeline. Not to slow down, but to be whatever positive effect that it has, to keep in mind the 10-year timeline. So what I'm talking about is, I want to code, because I've noticed these days, probably for a while, it's been this way now. Talk about plumbing. I don't particularly plan on doing this with plumbing. Actually, I kind of do, but I probably want to focus in on other sectors, but I don't want to mention those sectors because I want to get into them. So plumbing, I could get into plumbing. And I'm just going to go explain this. Plumbing. If you want to have a plumber in your city, say you live in Spokane, Washington, you probably go on Google, type in plumbers near me, pops up, you call somebody, blah, blah, blah. The people at the top of the list, there's like 3 spots, which you've seen this before. They often say ad sponsored. Means people are paying money to have their plumbing company listed at the top of the list, but it's not an actual it's not necessarily the top of the search list, other than it's stuck there because it's an ad. They've paid for the space, but it's not necessarily the first in your search results. So if someone didn't pay for that ad spot to be at the top of the list artificially, the first organic search result would be, it's not even that organic because it's pumped with all these fancy words, keywords, essentially. I don't know if that word is still used today, but when I was a kid, people said the word keywords. What you've heard of SEO, search engine optimization. It's just like it sounds. It's in the name. The name explains it all. It optimizes things for the search engine. Most of the time it's Google. So anyways, whether you're paying for the ad spot to be at the top of the sponsored, the 3 sponsored results, or you organically, again, it's not organic because they pump a bunch of SEO keywords into it. Search engine, they optimize it so it comes up at the top of the list. However you get to the top of the list, you got to be at the top of the list to get any customers. Now, you don't have to be, but almost always those are the people that control the market. And so say in Spokane, plumbers in Spokane, whoever comes to the list with the Google search, that's who gets the money. That's who gets the business. What does that have to do with plumbing? Nothing. You get what I'm saying? I'm saying, and this is not new information. So anyone watching this they could have done this 10 years ago. All of us could have done this 10 years ago. What I'm saying is I have plans to take control of markets through all this stuff. And it's one of my things I want to do. I also want to do marketing, these are essentially the same thing in many ways. What I'm saying is take a business, make it blow up, get it more money because of the marketing that I do for it, online mostly. I don't mind doing in-person marketing or flyers or whatever, but most of the time, the most bang for your buck without getting out and going to the print shop and doing flyers. And people would probably get creeped out if they saw flyers because no one does flyers anymore. You can still do it, but it's people are weirded out by that. You know what I mean? It's like if someone rode up to you in a horse and buggy. It's okay, there's a person who wants to talk to me, but you're not going to feel good because it's you're just creeped out. It's nothing wrong with horses, and we'd used buggies in the past as a society, but someone actually using horse and buggy today would get weirded out. Whether it's right or wrong, it's the facts. So same thing, no one does paper marketing anymore. No one really people do email still. But if you happen to fall upon an ad, by the way, you guys maybe you don't know this, your phone listens to you all the time. My phone, unless you do certain things to reprogram your phone, you have to really know computers, really know blah, 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 have ad block. I think even with ad blockers, the point is everyone's phone is listening to them. And so if your phone hears you mention, say, blue shirts, you'll get ads for blue shirts, and they might be really good shirts. You're wow, this is a shirt that I would buy. I didn't buy the shirt off of an ad. I bought the shirt at Goodwill. It's a great shirt. It's Tommy Hilfiger. Anyways, but that's what we're talking about here. Yes, the phones spy on you and they send you ads that they think they know you'd want to see because they've been listening to you. But the ads don't make themselves. There's marketers who make them. So that's what I want to enter into, is that space. I don't want to take the time for this video to talk about it, but there's 2 times in my life where I came across people with a lot of money. I don't know everything in the universe, or maybe I do. Maybe I'm bluffing and I'm just pretending like I don't know everything in the universe. Ha 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 ha, wink wink. But we are infinite beings, so I kind of do believe that it is possible for you or for me, for anybody. Moving forward. You smell money. You smell when someone's dirt poor. It's painful. By the way, to get on a slight tangent, they say when you have a baby and your baby's poo smells really funny, that baby has autism. What does it have to do with anything? You'll see in a second. Or you won't see. Maybe you're not smart enough to figure it out. I'm going to go through the rundown, and if you can catch up, you can catch up. Now, they say when people are stressed, their sweat has different chemicals in it. Okay? People can smell someone under extreme anxiety stress because their body gives the stuff that comes out of their body. We all sweat to some degree, more or less, but the sweat coming out of your body, if you're going through a crazy rough time, is going to be a different type of sweat, have different things in it. Again, remember I said the babies with autism, their poo smells funny? Why would poo smell any different? What's the difference between poo A and poo B? And poo A has autism and poo B doesn't have different stuff in, you know why? Because kids with autism go through a lot of anxiety, even as babies. And so their poo smells different because their body's going through different chemical reactions example the type of chemical reactions people would go through if they're going under extreme stress, extreme anxiety. Because of autism, those human beings go through extreme anxiety and stress all the time for what to a normal person would be no reason, but to them it's that's kind of the nature of autism. Seeing problems where they're not there because their minds are not built in a normal way. And it's very sad, but I'm just saying the facts. So, what does this have to do with anything? When I say you smell money, you know what I'm talking about. When you smell when someone has no money, they're totally screwed, you can tell. You don't have to see their wallet or check their bank account. You could tell. You can sniff it on them. Same thing when someone has lots of money. They know what they're doing. They have high confidence. They have a lot of chicks to talk to if they're a guy. They have a lot of guys who are interested in them if they're a girl. You can smell it. What am I getting at? I forgot what I was getting at. I don't remember. I could watch this video again and try to remember, but I don't want to go. I remember. I came across two people who I could sniff. They had tons of money. And not just sniff, but like, I'll go into it really quickly. One guy was in downtown Marina del Rey, right on the beach. It might have been Manhattan Beach or it might have been Venice. I think it might have been Manhattan Beach. I don't remember exactly but it was right there on the coast along the LA shoreline somewhere. It wasn't up in Malibu, but it wasn't in OC and it wasn't Long Beach. So somewhere along I don't remember exactly what beach it was, but all that area, if you live right on the beach, it's expensive. I saw him spraying his windows with a hose. Wasn't very effective window washing, but I could tell, or at least I could guess, that he lived there. I was almost certain he lived there. Whether he owned or leased was another story, but even just to lease, tons of money. You have to have tons of money. He seemed like he was Arabic. He could have been Persian, Armenian, maybe Pakistani, or maybe just, I don't know. But he seemed like he was Arabic. He seemed like he lived there because he was washing the window in the alley in down like shoreline Venice. I just had this came over me. I had to ask him. I just had like this spiritual experience where it's like I just knew in my heart something was telling me, like, ask him what he does for a living. And I said, no. I kept fighting with myself in my mind, like, no. These thoughts going through my head, like, no, it's not worth it. You're going to make an ass of yourself. It's going to be embarrassing. He's going to tell you to go F off. And that's true. All those things could have happened. And I'm not saying I didn't make an ass of myself, but I just, I have to do it, I told myself. I go up to him and ask him what do you do for a living. He says, I'm a digital marketer. He didn't seem like he wanted to talk much further. He had already given me a bunch of valuable information with just telling me what he did. And he didn't have to tell me anything. He could have just said, leave me alone. Go away. And any variation of go away, leave me alone. I said, thank you so much. I didn't mean to bother you. I really appreciate it. He didn't say much. He told me another time I was a Lyft driver. This is back, remember I said I was a Lyft driver? This one guy came from a concert. I don't remember what band it was, but I just know it was in downtown LA. I think it was at the Staples Center back when the crypto arena used to be called the Staples Center. And they had concerts there. I think they still have concerts at the crypto. Yeah, they do. And he basically broke the rules because the guards blocked off a section and he jumped across these traffic barricades to come get in my Lyft car because he kind of was like that type of rebel that didn't give an F and did what he wanted and whatever. There's tons of people waiting for rides or trying to figure out carpooling situations, and he just hopped across a barrier he wasn't supposed to hop across. And because we know GPS worked pretty well at the time, and he hopped in my Lyft. I gave him a ride back to his place. I think he lived this is in LA. He lived in, I think, downtown LA. And I asked him what he did. He didn't want to tell me. He said, nah, I don't want to tell you. I don't have to tell you. He literally told me that. He's like, I don't remember if he said I don't have to or I don't want to. But he's like, nah, I don't need to tell you. Okay. I talked to him a little bit about his life. He was an inactive member of my church, and I was kind of going inactive at the time, but hadn't quite gone inactive. Now I'm active. Very happy to be active. This video is not about that. And at the end of the conversation, he said, you know what? I do marketing. Like the ads you see when you're online? I do that, okay? It's really good. And so I'm telling you, and I said I wasn't going to go to the stories for time, but I did go into both of those stories. I tried to make it as quick as possible. Might have not been as quick as possible, but I made it rather brief. I'm telling you, but I'm telling you, okay? And I don't need to make a video to remind myself, but I'm also letting you guys know on the other side of the screen, whoever's watching, which is probably nobody, digital marketing is the way to go. People say social media marketing, same, not exactly the same. Digital marketing is more when you're dealing with websites and search engine optimization. Again, website pages. And SMMA, social media marketing agency, social media marketing, SMM, is, you're on Instagram, you're on those sites, you're on the meta websites, maybe you're on X, but probably on the meta websites. The point is, that's where the money's at. And at a minimum, you have to be involved in digital marketing. You have to have a website. People have to find your website, like your website, trust your website, have 5-star on Google reviews and a lot of good reviews, written reviews. Same thing on Yelp. There used to be Thumbtack or Angie's List, or they're still around technically, blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm saying. You have to do that to be in business today. You don't have to believe me, but I'm telling you that's the case. If you really want to get after it, depending on your industry, and perhaps if this includes any and every industry, get on social media, do social media marketing. Now, is that the only thing I'm going to do this year? No. I'm also going to learn automation technology. It involves programmable logic controllers, PLCs. It involves learning how to do a CNC machine, how to program a CNC machine. A lot of stuff that I've essentially never done before. It involves a lot of electrical knowledge. I'm going to learn that at the tech school. I'm going to tech school this year. I'm excited. I'm very excited. But I'm just saying, like, my goals for the year is to do my thing as this one black guy once told me, do your thing, brother. Do your thing. So, in the words of that black guy, who was a great guy, by the way, I don't remember his name, but he was a great guy. And that's another story for another day. Nothing weird happened other than something kind of nothing weird in a bad way happened. Something weird in a good way happened, in a wholesome, awesome way. And he was a cool guy. So shout out to that really cool guy. He's awesome. God bless him. But as he told me, do your thing. Do your thing, man. Like, yes, I'm going to do what I intend to do with fitness and strength. At the end of the day, we all have to have a brand. So I'm over here talking about my past, talking about my goals. Sure, but what do? What brand am I other than just a talking head? Well, I'm not trying to put myself down. I'm just saying, ideally, everyone has a brand, and their brand has something great to it. So if you love cooking, do cooking. If you love travel, do travel. If you love cars, do cars. If you love beauty, makeup, do that. Whatever it is. I don't know. If you know about dating, if you're a girl who knows how to get any guy, do that. Even if you don't, you'll probably make it fool people, Or if you're a guy who gets any chick, do that. I'm going to do fitness and strength. By the way, I kind of hate that because of where I've been, the places I've been, there's no proper word to describe what I want to do. Like, fitness isn't necessarily the accurate word. Exercise isn't necessarily the accurate word. Training could be the right word, but technically, if you're not training for a specific purpose, like military people train, okay, that's legitimate. If you're not in the military, how can you say you're actually training? If you're not a boxer, if you're not like an MMA fighter, what are you training for? You can't call it training. Maybe the right word would be exercise, but I don't think of it that way either. I think of it more like training, but I don't. So it's like, I can't call it training. I can't call it exercise. I can't call it working out. I can't call it fitness. I don't know what to call it. But that stuff, I'm going to do what I intend to do with fitness. Again, using a word because I have to use a word. I'm not saying any of the words are perfect. And strength. One thing I do feel confident about is strength is the proper word. I don't use the term powerlifting. There's no such thing as powerlifting. I don't use the word CrossFit. CrossFit should have never been existed. It's still to this day just a giant waste of everyone's time. It's just the wrong way to do exercise. Essentially is what it is. It's horrible. It's an egregious stain on the society that we live in. But yeah, I'm going to do what I intend to do with fitness. I'm going to do what I intend to do with strength. I'm going to do marketing for businesses and make them more money. I want my social media to be on point. I want you guys to know who I am. I want to impact lives for good. And I want to have a brand. I want to have followers. It's kind of what you got to do. By the way, don't just see this talking head and be like, oh, that's interesting. No, you do the same thing too. Do it now. Do not wait till tomorrow. Do it this very instant. Get your brand off. Don't just watch me. Get your brand. I don't know what you're into. Hopefully it's nothing weird or bad. And if it is, just go find Jesus and then come back to the table when you're ready to be a good human being. Go make your brand now. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing this update, which was supposed to be 7 minutes, and now it's like 36 minutes. And yeah, so I'm excited for this year. I'm going to bust my ass like I've never busted it before in my fucking life, because I have no more time. I'm 29. I missed out on all the dating chances that I ever wanted. Some I don't think I didn't have what I needed to have at the time. I didn't have what it took at the time, and I feel sad about that, and maybe always will. But ultimately, money's a big thing. When I have loads of money, I know how to treat a woman properly. I know how to keep myself in good shape. I know how to brush my teeth, put on deodorant, put on cologne, comb my hair, clean my ears, tie my shoes, iron my shirts. It's about money. I'm out of time. I'll catch you guys next time. Let's get it.